Hello, everybody! Welcome to the Unite Mathcast, an insight onto the objective and subjective mathematics in Pokemon Unite. Before we begin, this podcast is sponsored by UniteDB, the foremost authority on the mathematics and formulas hidden within Pokemon Unite. More on them later, but today on the Mathcast we have our nerd Mewleon.
Hi, I'm Mewleon. I'm your competitive community database analyst.
And our pro Indie Bear.
Hi, I'm Inder. I like Pokemon Unite.
And our creator Lazadin.
Hello, I'm Lazadin. I have Inevitable.
And of course, me, MathGeek. Hi! We at the Math Cord believe seeing the same image through different perspectives allows for a more complete picture of the truth, so I brought on 3 different perspectives to have a conversation about Unite. Today's topic is Aeos Cup, the event that just happened last week. So yeah, that was an event.
That was a very, very fun event. I loved watching it all the way through.
It was really exciting.
Yeah, the stakes were very high, which definitely amped up the competition this time around.
I haven't really gotten over losing yet, but, I'm working on it. Every day is a struggle, but every day gets better.
You guys made it in winners, though, so you can be proud about that. You guys made it to grand finals through winners. Like, that's a pretty big achievement, hell.
It is, and I know I'm, speaking from a point of, privilege or something from that perspective, but I don't think anyone would be happy with the second place. If everyone kind of expects you to be winning. Every time we lose, everyone's like, our fans are sad, but there's a part of the community that's also like, thank God, that they're losing. And I can feel it, for sure.
I don't think it's a thank God they're losing. It's a we're appreciative that that's somebody else. Like, it's like taking down the monster. Like, you guys are obviously the best team in the game. Pretty confidently, the best team.
I love Pokemon Unite, so that's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was about to say, it's pretty much a run back from, February qualifiers where Game & Gladiators actually came out of winner side grands at full send, beating Blackhand to loser side grand finals, but Game & Gladiators was able to, win that series, but then all of a sudden when Aeos Cup came up, it kind of flip-flopped in a way, and it was very close too. Yeah, it happens.
I mean, it came down to the final game of the bracket reset, so
let's not forget the real winner of NA, Random Gaming.
True.
$100 in their PayPal account. Let's go.
I mean, it's something. It is something. Yeah, there's. I was pretty happy with the event overall. There was a lot of interesting. A lot went on that was very interesting, I think. There were some teams that I'd never heard of. I don't follow the pro scene too deeply, but I've heard of almost all of these teams before, at least to some degree, just by my proximity to the community. But yet I'd never heard of Blackhand up until this event.
What?
Yeah, I know. I had not heard anything about it until this event started. I'm like, I've never heard of them. Who the heck are they? Oh, well, they're just filled with players I've heard of before. I'm familiar with Mop and Overlord and Chaotic.
Ascendance would be the team would be the name you probably knew them as.
Yeah, I was about to say, Ascendance is probably the team you're thinking of, but they got signed on to a roster to Blackhand, which is similar to TTV's case of getting signed on to Game & Gladiators.
So that's probably why I'd never heard of them, because I know these players. They were on a team before. But yeah, it's because they were Ascendants. Okay. Yeah. I probably know them from their previous names.
Yeah, they got signed on around back in February, the same time as TTV. And that's a big trend I've noticed as well, is a lot of these professional rosters have been getting signed on to these esport organizations, which is very significant because it helps. How do you say it? It helps incentivize the scene in a way to where other teams would want to jump on that bandwagon as well.
Yep. There's been
people interested.
I mean, basically every speaking to all of them, and I'm sure this is no surprise to anyone, but basically every team is trying to get a team, an org that's a good one, right? Nobody at the moment's trying to go for any the tier 1 orgs, your Liquids or Cloud9s or whatever, but everyone's looking for something.
They're not interested in Pokemon Unite right now because it's not a large enough scene, but then as time goes on, it's going to be larger and larger, at least in theory.
To be honest though, and I'm not going to talk about any orgs in particular, but when we were making the decision to find an organization we wanted to represent, we went through to the tier 1 orgs, and there was interest from them as well. But if you look at the games that they're popular in, they're only really popular there because those games are massive. They're not, really innovating in the esports scene or whatnot. And it's a lot of the tier 2 orgs that are doing, that are getting more engagement on social media. Like, if you look at anyone on my team, whenever we tweet something, we get, minimum 150 to 300 likes and a big percentage of our followers. But if you look at EG, Liquid, C9, you look at their Twitters, their social media, everything is dead. It's like their legacy talent really carrying them there.
Really carries them.
So what we wanted, right, was to find the best tier 2 org that would like invest in us and invest in the scene. That way, like, other teams, not that we hold like a big burden that all the other teams are going to follow what we do, but at least like if one of the best teams in the region got a good org that supported them, it would kind of influence other orgs to do the same, and hopefully that's happened. And that's just the goal, like, to get everyone paid, to get exposure to our game.
Exactly, trend setting is the goal. Once you get a couple people interested, if you get a couple orgs interested, even if they're only dipping their toes in, then other orgs will look at it and say, maybe I wasn't interested before, but other orgs are interested, which now makes me interested, and it kind of becomes a loop of getting people to invest. Which we just want more people investing in Unite. That's ultimately the goal, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's basically the goal, and I think it's worked out quite well in that favor, because there's been that trend that's been growing within the past few months, and it's not just NA either. Like, as being a database organizer, I've seen a lot of teams get signed on recently, mainly in Latin America region, Europe. More recently, Aeos Unleashed got signed on into Apprentice Esports,
Yep.
I believe. And there's another notable one too, but I can't think of it on top of my head right now.
Yeah, the Spanish is like audience is actually like really big. It's very interesting.
Really?
Like the English Unite audience is like not that big relative to probably where it should be, but then like the Spanish audience is super huge. Like
That's interesting.
To what you would think.
Because like the North American audience is, to be perfectly fair, fairly dead. There's not really a North American audience. There's not really a European audience. There's not really an Asian audience. But
what was it like? What was Grand Finals at, like 4K on mainstream? I want to say,
which is like hilarious in terms of like it's pitiful. Let's be honest.
No,
here.
it's not.
Like,
it's not. Let's
League of Legends first ever.
No. That is for a new esport coming up pretty high. Obviously, like there's some brand recognition with the Nintendo name and everything like that, but like
it's Pokemon.
4K is a lot of people. 4K is a lot of people. Like, don't. It's just growing over time.
That's fair.
Like,
that's fair.
Yeah. Yeah, I was gonna comment on that because I did watch on the Latin American streams and the other bilingual streams for the Pokemon Unite esports. The numbers are relatively around the same as well, about like 4 figures at best.
Yeah.
So
That's fair. That's fair. If I would hope to be able to see those numbers continue to climb over the next couple of months, if not like next year or two.
It would definitely peak when Worlds come up. So
yeah, when Worlds hits, it'll be huge.
If you want to talk relative to the other Pokemon stuff, like VGC events like of a similar size to get like a quarter of the viewership, right? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, but VGC is. I don't think VGC has ever been a successful like viewer experience.
But like if we're just talking about the name,
but I would compare to like Pokken, for example. If we're looking at like
Pokken got
large
pretty similar numbers. I'm pretty sure.
Pokken has had like when a big Pokken major comes through, you get some pretty decent numbers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, fair. But like, obviously, some of that's from the fact that it's like part of an ESL, like not an ESL, like a Evo or whatever, right? Like it's not the same.
Let's talk about this event specifically then. So, group stage. What teams succeeded more than we expected them to? What teams didn't succeed as much as we had hoped? Like in groups, Gaiman Gladiators, or is it Gaiman or Gaiman?
Gaiman.
Well, I guess that makes sense. Gaiman Gladiators, Aphelion Esports, IXGT, and Black Hand all 3 owed their groups very confidently, very easy sweeps.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that's a big shock to anybody, really.
I wouldn't characterize it like that. As like if you just look at the scoreline, then sure, it looks like that.
Okay.
But like, I want to say, hold on. I remember how many you guys were 2-1 in what 2 of those series? I want to say.
My team, we went 2-1, 2-1, 2-0. And I mean, the group stage was tough. I mean, it was tougher than in the games themselves, because I think every team kind of had a plan for how they wanted to play against particular teams in their group, because you had like weeks to prepare, right? Whereas normally you don't really know what teams you're going to play against. So people had like pocket strats ready, different like one gamer things that would work out of the blue.
Well, there's also the issue of the meta kind of just tilted on its head the week before the event, on top of the fact that that there is a bug that made it so you can't even really practice right up until like the day before the event started, right?
Yeah.
Did that at all impede the ability to rehearse and formulate strategies against different teams?
It made it a lot tough, because like what happened was we had a patch, right? A pretty big patch, like one of the biggest we've had ever, where Buddy Berry got nerfed, Score Shield got nerfed, some Pokemon got buffs and nerfs as well. But the same time that patch came out, the big EXP bug made it so that the entire game was warped, and any perception of the game we had just felt weird. Like Greninja felt really, really strong, for example, but it's also really good to be Greninja when everyone's under leveled and you can just one-shot them with Surf. So everyone kind of had like a way that they wanted to adapt after the bug got fixed, which was only going to be a day or two before the event itself. And I mean, a lot of random stuff was played. Maybe stuff that, like, looking back at it now, wouldn't be that powerful. It was just played because it was different.
I guess that makes sense. Do you think that the change in meta caused some teams to perform a lot better or a lot worse than they should have? Like the big obvious one is like Score Shield. Like when you get rid of like the score meta.
I mean, a team like basically the only team in NA that consistently plays score comp actually like qualified anyway, so that was pretty weird.
Fair enough.
Or like they got out of groups, although that was a very. I've heard there were very interesting things that happened in that group, but I haven't been able to find any VODs of those games, so I don't know what to say.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I was about to say, it'd be hard for those teams to adapt to a completely new meta a week before the event, because it's not just about having to adapt, it's about having to find that team synergy all over again with other various characters and and having to adapt to new held item layouts and whatnot. So it's much harder than what it looks than what people are saying. So I have to give credit to all those teams who were able to successfully adapt, because especially when you compare it from March qualifiers to now, the meta has drastically changed to being like very Darudalon based, to having to adapt to less over reliance on well, not over reliance, but like the reliance on the score comp.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one thing I've noticed, and I have to commend to personally.
So one of the things that's also happened though, and I mean it played out kind of funny in this tournament, was that like now that teams are starting to stay together a little bit longer, and it's a bit ironic for me to say that considering what happened afterwards, but leading into this event, like, teams were together for a while, right? Like Blossom's roster, once they got Mike Spam, hasn't changed. Nemesis has been Nemesis now for like months since Tyre's been gone, right? Like teams, Blackhand's been Blackhand ever since Jungle Book was gone. Like all these teams have been consistent, and all these teams started to develop like an identity on how they play the game, right? Where Nemesis has like the tree Decidueye, trainer on Greninja, like they have their kind of archetype of playing the game. Blackhand and Art, like my team, we kind of play very similarly, but maybe Chaotic favors a couple different junglers than Tuna. They have their identity, around Overlord Lucario. Like everyone kind of has an understanding of how teams operate, and this tournament, like because we had such a long time to prepare in group stages, some teams were just more ready for other teams. And I think if you want to look at my group as an example of a team that got out that people maybe didn't expect was Foreign Famous, right? They actually, before they played our team in groups, they were just cleaning every team in the group stage. Like they went through Blossom, they went through TOS, and I mean
So did they get out on prep merit then, you think?
I mean, I think they got out on just playing a style that no one prepared for, because like I think everyone just underestimated that team so much, and they had the opportunity to just sit down and look at everyone's, like how everyone played. And I mean, in the Unite community, and we don't have to talk about any individuals or whatnot, but like I feel like they don't get enough credit for how well they team fight as a team, and no one really like watches their games or tries to study them or whatever, and they had the opportunity to study everyone.
They also got O2 done twice after they came out of group stage. So I don't know what actually might have changed, if their preparation just didn't work, or if...
So here's the thing, and here's my opinion what happened with Four and Famous. Because in their roster is four of the same people, except for, like, and then one different person, between, like, when they didn't qualify and when they did.
That's Dave, Yomu's, Sad Sam, Glock, and Fleet, right?
Yeah. Gloxic was the one difference. Gloxic kind of, in a way, forced the team to play a bit more. Like, because of his weird schedule, they kind of had to play around that a little bit. And, like, he also would try to get them to focus up a bit more on scrims. Like listening to their, like, practice and everything, like, Glock kind of turned that team from what it was to a team that could qualify, right? It's just kind of weird then how he ended up without a team then, huh? Just very strange behavior.
Okay, now my question is: are you trying to imply something without overtly saying it, or are you just genuinely confused as to why he wasn't picked up by a team? Because I believe that I don't know if you're trying to do wink wink nudge nudge. I wonder why he wasn't picked up by a team.
A bit of both.
Okay.
I like Glock, and I think he deserves. I think he deserves a team, and like he has the new roster with like Red Love and Hash, and I forgot the other two. I'd have to find the tweet. I'd have to find the tweet, but
that's fair.
But I don't know. I think that was a very, very, very strange thing that happened.
Okay.
And I would love to know a little bit more about what actually happened there.
Yeah, no, I was wanting to ask, when did does anybody know, like, when Gloxic actually got added into the roster, or have they always been in the roster?
No, they got added in kind of recently, didn't they?
Yeah, Glock was added between Four and Famous failing to qualify last time, and then like Aeos quals.
Yeah, because this is where my database analysis role comes in, because what I've noticed is that they did qualify back in February, but they went 0-2 in top 16.
Yes,
and then
they got disqualified because someone forgot to wake up.
Yeah.
Oh my god, no.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
Who didn't wake up?
Fui, I think. Yeah.
Oh, damn it, Fui.
Damn top laners.
And then came Aeos Cup, LCQ. They did not drop any games except for the last game against IX GT, which they won 2-1. And then right afterwards, they participated in the communitygaming.io April tournament, where they did not drop any games at all until they came up against Gaming Gladiators. And they actually competed with some tough teams as well. They competed against Club TV 1-2-0, who won second place at the Brazil or South America East March qualifier. And they also won against Security Squad, who won first in South America West, who is now signed on to Infamous Esports. So within the past month, they've been popping off, and I think the addition to Gloxic kind of adds up.
Mm-hmm. Wait, did I'm just mentioning in chat. Did FF knock out GG in a tournament recently?
They did in the community gaming tournament in the finals to beat us.
Oh wow! So they are actually like
no, they were doing well.
Genuinely hold.
They were doing well, yeah.
So here's the thing, right? And I'm not gonna. People disrespect Dave a lot for being a bad player. I'll just put it out there. That's what it is. Like, he gets memed on a lot, and I think maybe.
Well, I mean,
it's just what it is.
That's not the main reason I hear why he gets memed on.
No. I mean, but in terms of his play,
yeah.
I mean, his character. Okay. You know, people's character aside, right? Like, in terms of his play, like, you know, I'll see it even in like on discussions on YouTube and whatnot. But I think maybe he has skill sets that are lacking when you compare to other junglers, because like a lot of the junglers in NA are very talented individually, but for whatever reason, the way that those 5 players played together, even though they screamed and yelled at each other, they got stuff done in team fights, and they won tournaments and they won games, and things worked out for them. But I think every time, I mean, you could see it on Twitter. There were like other people in the community, like people that are looking to get into the casting scene and whatnot. Like, everyone was calling Group A the group of death, or like such a hard group. And then you would see people on Twitter reply like, why is Foreign Famous in that group? Like, Foreign Famous isn't, you know, it's not a group of death if Foreign Famous is there, right? Like, they were getting trolled.
And it's funny because, like, Foreign Famous made it out of group, so at the very least, they kind of disproved that You know, that kind of
They
troll.
definitely upset
They beat
that
out
group.
Team Blossom, who is like Team Blossom was one of those teams that people expected to do very well in the tournament. Team TOS,
I mean,
should have
rightfully
done well
so,
in the
right?
tournament,
Blossom
but
won the
everybody just
tournament.
piled up in.
Blossom won the tournament right before.
Yeah, I personally had my best on Blossom as a game of Gladiators just solely based on statistics, but Foreign Famous is probably one I wasn't expecting.
They're definitely a wild card, I think is probably the best way to say it. They sometimes will just come in and it's like, yeah, we're going to get out of a group of death that we have no business winning. And then after completely stomping when they really have no right to, they'll just 0-2 out of the rest of the event. Like, you can't predict like how well they'll do. They can sometimes just come back and crush the expected to win and win a whole tournament. And then other times, it's very just hard to figure out.
So actually, that's a discussion I wanted to bring up, especially for Indie Bear, who actually competed in the event. What is your opinion on the Aeos Cup format? How it goes into round robin into top 8 double elimination? Do you agree with that format, or do you think it should have just been kept at top 16?
No, I think the format for the individual Aeos Cup itself was not bad. I mean, it kind of sucks as a player to have like 3-hour breaks in the middle of a tournament, but if that's how production has to do it, that's how they have to do it. If they could improve on that, it would be good. If we want to talk about format related to world stuff, and I don't know if you guys have talked to other players about this before, but and it's going to seem like I'm biased here, but it just doesn't make much sense to me that there's a championship point system, but those championship points, like having the most of them doesn't actually mean much, right? Like we kind of all expected that the most championship points, whichever team that is, they get to go to Worlds because they're consistently performing well all year. And then you have like a qualifier for the other team. But it doesn't really matter what your point standing is right now, the way it goes.
I think it makes a lot of sense that like the points are just seeding because you want the team that's performing the best closest to the actual event itself, because there used to be this problem in League. Like it would happen a couple of times where a team that was just very obviously not good would just get a world spot. Obviously, League has 3 NA world spots, right? But they would just get a spot, like the third place spot, often just because they like had performed better earlier in the year, and then they would just end their brains out in groups, and like it was like, well, why did this team that was clearly not better than them at the time like get there?
Suddenly just skyrocket.
Right, but whether it's my team or another team, if there's a team that wins every single tournament that the game has ever had, and then gets third in the qualifying tournament, it seems like it's like the whole year is almost like, what's the significance of the first 2 cups then at that point, right? If they are just for seeding.
Yeah, I was about to say, for the championship point system, they based it off of how VGC and TCG does it. Being a former Play Pokemon competitor myself, but they just slightly deviated from when the Worlds qualifier is at that point, which doesn't make it really any sense to me, to be honest, because how people get invited to Worlds of VGC and TCG is based off of the total championship points and not just like a regional final kind of thing. So it just kind of doesn't make sense to me how they did it that way.
I mean, at that point, they didn't really base it off that system, right? I think that's the complaint that, like, most people don't even know that that's how it works. That they're kind of just expecting that, like, whichever team has the most will qualify, and then there will be, like, another tournament for the other team. And, I mean, I think they'll fix it for next season. It's too late to do it now. But
I don't know. I can see... I can definitely understand where you're coming from, but I also, like, I've seen the bad version of that system happen one too many times to be like, yeah, you know.
Yeah, that's fair.
I don't remember what season it was, though. I'm afraid in League to write a more precise example, but.
So now, the pivot part. Given this event, what do you think the results of the event did to impact roster shifts? Because I mean, I'm not sure if calling it a shift is probably the right choice. Like it's closer to a roster caps lock, where everything just absolutely crumbled apart. Like so many teams just completely dissolved. Some just shifted like half their members away. Like what are some big changes that happened that you think Aeos Cup influenced?
I think it was just like how much of a high stake it was. I think that's really all I got, in my opinion. And And I've seen from Sucker Bunch how they kind of disbanded just because of like they've came so close so many times, especially to where it matters. And I feel like the majority of teams feel the same way, that they felt like they were so close to the light at the end of the tunnel for Aeos Cup, and it just didn't work out. And they just think that it's a psychology thing because it happens to every esports scene. It's a psychology thing where it's like if I change things out, it will get better, but we just have to wait to see what happens, especially for tomorrow when May qualifier starts to see what happens to those teams.
Because isn't it true that essentially um, a lot of these teams only stayed together for this event, which means that like a lot of their disbanding wasn't because of the event, but rather it timed out so that once there was no real a reason for them to stay together, they disbanded and did whatever.
Yeah, I think that's probably more of the case where like a lot of these teams were probably realistically done with, unless they randomly won the whole thing, that they were probably just going to disband anyway, and there was no reason for them not to just practice and do their best. And now that it's over, it's time to part ways.
Yeah, it's just again. It's just high stakes that were on the line, and it kind of just cracked to some of those teams, unfortunately. So,
well, I mean, like when you think about it, obviously, like if you want long term success as a team, then you want to like stick together and like do that sort of like stuff where you build up synergy, you learn how to play, you identify like ways you work together well, like you learn how to play around those things, like whatever, right? Like you do all the good stuff if you want to stick, like if you want to win long term. But Unite is a game that does not benefit you for that. Like the way the circuit is, the way like how like the most of the money comes from either like sponsorships or whatever, but then also like smaller like individual tournaments. At the end of the day, your best option is usually the one that's the short term one, which sucks. Like it does suck, and like there's a lot of players that have gotten screwed over by stuff like that, right? Like, I mean, I don't even want to name any individual ones because the list is too long. But I also can't fault any of the teams for making those decisions because the system is just set up in a way that incentivizes that. Like, and obviously, you know, like the team that is consistently considered the best and has the most consistent performance is the one that has been together for like forever, right? But they, and I talk about GG obviously, but they came from like, you know, they most of them know each other from like previously. I think Toon Slims knew to that group, but otherwise, like that's why they have that built up, and other teams just have not decided to build up that sort of long-term synergy, and at this point it's too late.
To be honest, I mean, like, we get that rep a lot, and I'm not sure where it started. Like, yeah, we all knew each other from different games, and I mean, Zug and Lutano played on a pro team together, right? But other than that, like, you know, all of us we played the same game, and we were all the same, like, rated, and we happened to be in each other's solo queue games. So that was pretty much it. Like, everything that we've developed as a team has been in Unite. It's just, you know, maybe we leverage, like, our shared experiences from those games, but yeah, not like, it hasn't been, you know, like 10 years of synergy or anything like that.
Mm-hmm. No, it hasn't been. You're right. I believe you were the coach on that team, and Goof was listed as manager for.
I coached like for like half a season, and then I just scheduled scrims while I had like an IRL job, and then Goof was like the GM who like organized boot camps and whatnot.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, that's just what I see on Wikipedia, and then obviously like Toon Slims new, because you had to import them from the UK into Canada.
Mm-hmm. That was fun. But I don't know. I mean, I feel like if their goals are to win Worlds or to get to Worlds, then they're going to do whatever favors them the most in that pursuit, right?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, it doesn't mean that... So there's an old thing talking about like kings staying in power that say the keys that you use to get into power are not the same keys that you use to hold it. So teams that you know are big aren't necessarily big because that they, you know, kept the team they started off with. Sometimes you have to, you know, you got to go to a different team. Like it happens. Teams are going to end up losing members and other and members are going to end up leaving teams, and they're going to, there's always going to be roster shifts. That's just kind of by the nature of competitive.
Sometimes it's because like there's just a better player available, and sometimes it's because this community is full of people who don't know how to handle interpersonal issues all that well, but it causes a lot of drama. Like, it is what it is. It's very common in esports.
But in both of those scenarios, though, aren't the feelings like, mostly mutual? Like if one person, right? If one person can't get along with the other person, that other person probably wouldn't want to play with them in the first place, or shouldn't want to. So,
I mean, just as an example, I know plenty of people that just don't like me for whatever reason, and that's absolutely okay by me. But I don't hate them back necessarily. Like I don't have qualms against most people in the community who have a dislike for me, for example. Everybody's gonna have somebody who likes them, somebody who doesn't like them, and that's fine. It's not always gonna necessarily be mutual, but as long as you have a mutual respect for each other and say, well, if you have this problem, then you can just move to different teams, and you guys have the understanding of what you need to personally do in order to succeed. And it doesn't really matter, right? It doesn't matter what you personally feel as long as that everybody's on the same page for what their eventual goal is.
Yeah, I think that's most important when it comes down to these long-term teams and whatnot. So I think you got on the point there.
So yeah, what big roster shakeups did we see? What members went to interesting teams? What teams broke apart?
Man, where do we want to start?
Well, let's start with the big one, of Team Blossom.
Snap, they're gone.
Yeah. They
Blossom,
had they had a lot of some of the best players in the game right now. Mm-hmm. Do you know where they're all going?
Yes, I do actually. I do. I know where all 5 of them are. So number 1, Rin and Retsu ended up on Team IX. Retsu moved to support because IX already had OG as their top laner, and Rin's playing jungle. They also have Nudo, who is well known in the high elo community, but I don't think he's ever been on a team before. Like, I could be wrong on that. On attacker, which is not his main role either, and they still have OG and Pika Diff for their top end defender.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have let's see, Elo went to I don't know if this has been officially announced yet, but I'll just say what I know then, which is Elo has been playing a lot of scrims with Blackhand as their support. So I mean, do the math, right?
Is Mop the current support for Blackhand?
It was announced on Twitter that Mop is no longer part of the team.
No, Mop, no.
Yeah, I think Elo is their support now. He was playing with them today.
Yeah, I believe Elo is too. Yeah. I don't know if they ever put out an official announcement about it though, which is why I'm kind of whatever on it, but that's what everybody assumes.
Yeah, this is just what we're able to observe from the outside. Yep. Who else then? We've got Faz and Mike.
Mike Spam and Faz both made new teams that have left over LFD people. So Mike Spam's team is Yikes top, Allahu Akbar attacker, or Aloha Snackbar, attacker, or it's jungle, not attacker. Zakari attacker, Mike Spam supports, and Superior defender. Faz's team is Era top, Katie jungle, 9 attacker, Junkie support, Faz defender. Obviously, having coached both Katie and Era, and then also Durban Zakari, I hope those teams nothing but the best, and I'm excited to see where both of them end up.
Did you just mention that Junkie is on that new team?
Yes.
So then, what happened to Low Expectations?
They went boom.
Oh, they entirely went boom. Okay, so now we have another 4 people to talk about. What happened to Uzi, Nish, 9, and Reason?
Uzi, I think I'm not sure what's happening to Uzi. I think he's trying to make a random stack. I'm not sure.
Okay.
Ree's on that team with Red Love. Ree's on that team with Red Love.
Okay.
Which I forgot. Now who's their 5th? I don't remember who their 5th is though. Then obviously Junkie and 9 are on the team I listed, and then Nish I don't think is playing because I think he wants to take a break.
Okay. Are there any other really interesting roster moves that you're aware of that you think will be interesting to comment on? Because, like, honestly, those teams, like, I'm not really surprised that, like, instead of going to another team, Faz and Mike building their own teams from the ground up, just feels like a very, very them thing to do. You know, trying to foster a new, not new talent, but a new coordination between already established talent. Just feels like the right move for them moving forward.
I think also they just didn't find a team, right? If they found a team, they probably would be playing on a team. I don't think they had, like, offers and they're like, oh, now we're going to go make our own team instead.
I mean, that very well could just be the case that the offers that they didn't receive weren't the offers they were hoping for, and then, or alternatively, they wanted to make a team from the very beginning. Like, I know that there was, I know there are some people who are frustrated about teams exploding, and just saying, "Fuck it, I want to be able to go." Sorry for the language, by the way. Language alert. I want to go. Build my own team that isn't just going to blow up the moment that, win turns slightly less.
Mm-hmm. Every single tournament, every single team that has ever been founded on the principle of I don't want a team that blows up, blows up. It's just a fact.
It's prophecy.
Yeah, so I think another case to talk about is Redlaw's and Glockstick's new team. I forgot what the exact name of it is.
I want to say Team Spinal.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, it's Spinal.
Let me go to Glockstick's Twitter so they don't get their fifth wrong.
When is somebody going to make a proper compendium of all the current teams and roster shifts and everything?
Good luck with that, chump.
Because, I had one at one point, and I had it, it was going pretty good.
Ilky. That was their fifth.
Yeah, Ilky from IX is in that team as well.
Yeah.
And then...
LKJ.
Yeah.
Oh, is that who left IX to fill in?
The three people that got removed from IX were Ilky, Tybasol, and Mewleon.
Okay. Oh wow. So
Mewleon, I don't think has found a team.
So they're only left with OG and with he said it was Elky, OG and Mewleon who left.
No. The two that are left from their most recent roster are OG and
Picketif?
Picketif, yeah.
Okay.
And then I think another notable one is Five Guys blew up.
Yes, Five Guys blew up because...
Yeah.
Well, I think the more interesting thing about that is actually why they blew up, and it's because Bruv joined Random Gaming after Random Gaming won, and they've been winning everything because they kicked the Chrome up.
So one of their better players left to go see, greener pastures, and it just
Bruv has an argument for best defender in Europe. Like, he just does. He's very, very good.
Yeah, Bruv HD, powerful dude.
Yep, and that's that is a very, very, very scary Random Gaming. I hope obviously it sucks for Chroma and it sucks for the rest of Five Guys too. Like, it sucks for all of them, but I hope they find good teams.
Yeah, Random Gaming is currently only one of two teams that have made it to Grand Finals on all three tournaments, the other one being from Brazil, from South America East, so it's quite an accomplishment to say the least.
Yeah. What was it? What is it, like first, second, first? Was that the record in the last?
Yeah, it's first, second, first.
Like, that team is really good.
Extremely consistent, yeah.
Were there any EU teams that are of note?
Five guys. That's
because I'm looking at the European Cup right now, like Random Gaming, Apprentice Unleashed, 5i.
I want to say Zephyr White exploded.
PogChamps also, I think they're playing with Sixies now, and Sixies used to be on Apes. Well, Sixies was on Apes, and then he was off the team for a bit, and now he's going to be on PogChamps. So
PogChamp was Yoshi Krakis.
Yeah, because they got rid of Krakis.
What happens there?
Or Krakis? Krakis, I don't know how to pronounce his name.
Krakis.
Mr. K.
Unleash the Krakis.
I think in NA, one of the more interesting ones, and I guess it's not a big surprise though, is Jungle Book coming back out of his retirement to play back with Blackhand, because he was on their roster when Ascendant started, getting really good in NA, and then he had to go away to focus on school, and they picked up Chaotic, and I mean
and now May is around.
Yeah, and then now school's over and he's back. I always thought that was the plan, so I never really understood why Chaotic was just happy being a rental the whole time. So I don't know.
He got the prize money, didn't he?
He got the prize money, I guess, but no one's really playing for the Aeos Cup prize money. I mean, I don't think anyone.
Well, more notably,
he got his X amount of money per month from Blackhand too. So
Yeah, he placed fifth place in this event, so at the very least he got like a fifth-ish of the prize money, and also clearly made a bit of a name for himself. At least people are going to be able to see, yeah, he placed fifth place at the Aeos Cup. That's at least something, right? It provides you a little bit of value for when you're looking to pitch yourself to other teams when you know you're inevitably not going to be able to.
And now he's on IXGT.
Yeah, and yeah, like that's the big thing that like after Aeos Cup, all the teams are going to go boom. You're going to have a bunch of teams that are going to explode. So it's not like you're at a huge disadvantage. Like it's very convenient timing that the moment that your contract essentially expires and they're going to bring back the old player is when there's a billion spots are going to open up in pro teams. So I have no worries about their future as a pro player.
Definitely.
So yeah, is there anything else that you guys think needs to be said?
Oh, we did forget a very important free agent, though, that happened to not be related to Aeos Cup, but
Who?
Hello, it's me.
Oh my gosh. Lazadin looking for team, everybody, top one coach NA. If you're
hey, don't disrespect Excellent like that.
Oh no, don't worry, I'm not. He's a close second.
Oh my
God. Top one coach NA. At least top 3, but like realistically we're looking at top 1 here. Come on.
Is there 3 coaches? I genuinely don't know.
Well, that's why I said that, because I only know of 2. So I was being conservative and safe just in case there's a coach that's working on the sidelines. Like I don't know if Gaming Gladiators has a secret coach that they're just not aware of, or that the public's just not aware of or something.
Yeah, our secret coach is Lazadin. We stream at him and ask him to explain how the mechanics work in the game.
Yeah,
that's
God.
true. I get DMs a lot.
That's the job.
There's a sizable portion of the pro community that lives in my DMs.
Yeah, there's it's like a running joke essentially. It just says, hey, you understand how Pokemon Unite works, right? Yeah? How exactly does EXP share work? And nobody can answer that.
I could answer that for sure. I mean, but like, yeah, most people don't know how item works. For
No,
sure.
no. Do you think that you understand how EXP share works sufficiently that you think you could list all of its interactions in a fairly exhaustive way?
I think so, yeah.
Because I don't even think I can do that.
I don't think any of us could do that because we thought we were right, and then something showed that we might not be. So I would not be confident in saying anything right now.
Just put the light bulb on. Don't be the highest XP. Stand near the mob, and make sure that your teammates.
Wait, what do you mean? Don't be the highest XP? It's not about being the highest XP. It's about being the lowest.
Be the lowest XP, right?
And what happens if 2 people are tied?
No one's ever actually tied.
What happens if? Well, no, you can't. If you have 2 people with EXP share, and they're both at their same EXP level, it's super easy to happen. What happens?
No, it's not based on the level though. It's based on the actual XP value.
Doesn't matter, because if you both reach the same level at the same time, you have the exact same XP value.
Nobody cares, dude. Let's not do this. Come on.
Because yeah, exactly. We don't friggin' know.
No.
Is double EXP
no,
share
we know
actually viable?
We know what happens. We know exactly what
server
happens. They
takes,
both get it.
And then who cares, dude?
And then eventually, one person takes an APROM like a fraction of a second before the other person, and then
suddenly the whole thing is out of sync.
Yep.
Yeah, because they take it like the frame before the XP bump happens or something. So now they're no longer in sync, and everything is dead.
Yes.
Actually, that's the thing I wanted to bring up now that you mentioned it. So there's been a resurgence of Sylveon's coming around Aeos Cup, more notably what's the team name? Full Send bringing out the Sylveon random.
Yeah, the one day.
And then Late Pacific, where the random team there also had a Sylveon in their composition that completely dominated the bracket. So I'm just wondering y'all's opinions on that. Did you expect that with the nerfs that Score Shield got in, or
Sylveon's a good bully.
I didn't expect it, and
I don't
also,
think anybody. Yeah.
Just so we're clear, Random Gaming made that, and then Full Send paid them to learn how to play the comp.
Oh yeah, that's right. They did say that on stream.
Yeah. Otter actually tweeted out the PayPal receipt. That's pretty funny. But anyway, I think the Sylveon was very, very interesting, and it does what it was meant to do well. I don't think it'll be the best solution long term. I just think it was a very, very good strategy for the oh shit, we have one day. let's do something that works. But I know Random's been running it for longer than that, so maybe I'm just not giving him credit. I don't know.
Adesu plays it a lot, and when they would run score comp, he'd be Sylveon. When they'd run like a version of score comp, he'd be Sylveon. Like, so he definitely likes that Pokemon. But they were just doing different things with it, right? Like in the jungle, most Pokemon, like in the most basic sense, the jungle started off by people at level 5, full clearing it, and then ganking out of the lanes. And then Toon started doing this thing where even on the level 5 characters, he would pop out at level 4 and annoy the top laner from getting farm. And then other teams started doing that. Jungle Book started doing that a lot. And then the meta started to become like, if you're on desert side, it's a lot easier for that level 4 guy to come up. And then now, it's like, instead of just playing a level 4 Cinderace that comes up, you know, you can just follow your dog on the green side with the buff and just come out as a full-on Sylveon, a Pokemon that's like really tanky, really good at the flip. So it's like, it scales well, and it's really good at like coming in the top lane and causing chaos. And it's like the strategy is just so deep in terms of how they rotate. And definitely like part of the reason why teams lost against it, part of the reason why we lost against it is just it's a completely different way of playing the game. And if you're not like prepared for it, it just the power spikes and which Pokemon are strong at different points in the game are just different. So you lose like a laning advantage.
Yeah, being a Sylveon main myself, that's something I devolved into, especially with how Score Shield was nerfed. It kind of gained Sylveon some relevancy again due to how much of those Pokemon become even more vulnerable to Pokemon like Sylveon, especially how tanky she is. And when you slap on a Scorch Shield or even take away Scorch Shields from your opponents, she becomes very deadly very quickly. So I think that's what I've noticed looking into my own research and personal experience as well. So
I mean, I can't really say that the Score Shield change has literally anything to do with Sylveon being popular. Maybe Buddy Barrier.
Oh, Buddy Barrier, that's what I meant. That's my apologies. I always get those. I get those two confused all the time. I don't know why.
Right.
They're both HP items, and they were both overtuned. Maybe one of them still is overtuned. I'm not gonna lie, but
yeah.
So yeah, is there any other like team comp things that were interesting regarding Aeos Cup that you guys can think of? Any interesting like weird off meta picks? Any interesting team compositions? Any
I mean, I wouldn't say
any new strategies.
I wouldn't say it's like off meta. It's like just the new meta now, but all of a sudden, like Blastoise is just the meta.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's been completely sweeping. I think he's basically kind of like the replacement for Durudalon in a way. That's what I've noticed is because of all the AoE zoning that he could do that Durudalon used to do back in March, but now since he's been nerfed to heck, people have found Blastoise being an extremely tanky and zony character. That's what I've noticed a lot. Again, I don't really devolve too much into the game itself, but that's just again from a general viewpoint.
It's the flippy rippy character. You press your rapid spin button and you'll hold water spout and you do damage to the bird.
Yeah, I mean it's like similar to Duraludon, I guess, in the sense that it promotes the game to flip a little bit, but also it's just really strong with without buddy barriers in the game because you actually get to deal damage on people. It's also really good with Hoopa, and Portal Hoopa is like the meta now as well, which is another thing that's pretty fun. So it's just cool to see like the game's kind of evolving in terms of what's viable and what's not.
So that's another thing I wanted to bring up is Blissey Egg Bomb.
Oh yeah. The new Blissey meta, where Egg Bomb deals 1 billion friggin' damage.
It's always dealt that amount of damage.
Yeah, but people are actually picking it now because of the new egg changes.
Yeah, look, I'm gonna be real with you. That didn't matter.
What?
Like, I know this is gonna sound weird, but I think it was going to happen regardless of whether or not Egg Bomb got buffed. Because one of the big things that really helped Egg Bomb was actually Hoopa. Hoopa's changes. Especially like Portal becoming meta. Egg Bomb is one of the best ways of dealing with Portal. And also like it's very good for base defense and that sort of thing. And also the characters that were strong with Helping Hand are like worse now. So like Cinderace, for example. Have you tried playing Cinderace into Blastoise? It's not fun. It's really, really just not fun. Like, and like that's one of the strongest characters with Helping Hand, right? So that's like that kind of stuff changes the way you play, and like I think that would have taken some time, and like the buff to Egg Bomb made it more like happen more quickly, like the adaptation happened more quickly, but I think it was going to happen eventually anyway, just because of the rest of the meta shifting.
Interesting. So yeah, I think that's pretty much everything that that I can think of then.
Actually curious, do you agree with me on that, Indy?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think Egg Bomb, it's like just perfect circumstance for it to be played now. The buff definitely helps a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I think that what the buff does help with, it makes that, because Egg Bomb is broken, and because Blissey's so strong as well, and the other buff that Blissey got where you get the safeguard buff at level 10, just means that Blissey in the late game is so much stronger. And like Lazadin said, like all the different reasons why Egg Bomb is good now also on top of that. So it's just combination of all the circumstances, and I don't know. Helping Hand's just not good with the meta. That's just all it really is. Like,
Helping Hand doesn't change the DPS of your Blastoise or your Sylveon, or like any of your Assassin characters, which were something that people thought was going to be meta, and then just it didn't.
Mm-hmm.
Happens.
It does. I mean, you can't predict a perfect meta. Like, that's just not possible. There's always going to be something that somebody didn't consider. Heck, that's like Timmy's balancing philosophy. Is, no, we're going to miss something. Doesn't matter. We'll go change it after the event's over. Oh, well. Something Lucario.
yeah.
I think that's a good place to wrap it up then. So, thank you very much for watching today. This episode of the Mathcast was brought to you by UniteDB, the foremost authority on the mathematics and formulas hidden within Pokemon Unite. Check them out at unite-db.com. That's unite-db.com for formulas, patch notes, tier lists, and a comprehensive mechanics FAQ. And the Mathcord now has a Patreon. Please feel free to contribute at patreon.com/mathcord for a custom role in the Mathcord and a shout out at the end of each episode. Special thanks to our patrons today. We've got, if I can bring up my patrons that I just have, thank you very much to Heartspire, Circa, and Aharon Turpy for being a patron at the $25 tier. We appreciate you very, very much, and thank you for being contributors. Lastly, I would like to give a little bit of credit to our new editor that we have coming around, Taco Titan. You can follow them on Twitch at Taco Titan Plays or Twitter at Taco Titan Plays. And otherwise, they're going to be editing these episodes and churning them out in the next little bit. So everybody give a little wave. And lastly, if you guys enjoyed the content, feel free to hop in the Mathcord. We've got a pile of channels here for anybody who has any questions about the advanced mathematics in the game. Anything from knowing exactly how an item works to the deep inner machinations of why everything sucks and why half the game is broken. Yeah. Thank you very much for watching. Once again, we have our nerd Mewleon. Would you like to give a little blurb saying where people can find you?
Yeah, so I'm actually also the owner of the our Pokemon Unite Discord, so that's where I'm at the majority of the time, and I work on the competitive database basically on my free time as a resource for the greater community. So I could be found at either the our Pokemon Unite Discord, or you can find me on Twitter at JMMewleon, but that's about it for me. Yeah.
Next, we have our
post that database in the chat for the.
Yeah, anybody who wants to see it can go into our chat. It'll be available there if people want to go see it. Today is is May 13th, 2022. If anybody's going to go retroactively and go find it from the episode of the podcast. Next, we have our creator Lazadin. Please give a little shout out as to where people can find you.
You can usually find me lurking on any individual Unite Discord. I am everywhere. I am nowhere. But also, I will probably be streaming more frequently on Twitch coming up soon at Lazadin 11, I believe. And then follow me on Twitter, Lazadin1, and maybe you'll get around to making the YouTube channel I meant to. And also, I would also advertise my team right now, but I don't have one.
Oh well, he's a free agent. Everybody, we're looking. He's top one coach NA. You know.
Ask again in a week.
And lastly, we have our pro indie bear. Where can we find you?
Anywhere, if you just search Indie Bear, usually that's my tag. That's I make Pokemon Unite stuff. I really, really, really like Pokemon Unite. It's like my favorite. One of my favorite things.
Don't we all?
I absolutely love
hate
it.
relationship.
Yeah.
Thank you everybody for watching. I hope that you guys have all enjoyed this episode, and we'll see you all next time. Cheers. Thank you, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this episode. This episode was brought to you in part by UniteDB, the foremost authority on the mathematics and formulas hidden within Pokemon Unite. The Math Cord works hand in hand with them to ensure the most up-to-date information is available to you all, and we hope you appreciate this resource. Check them out at unite-db.com. That's unite-db.com for formulas, patch notes, tier lists, and a comprehensive mechanics FAQ. This episode was also brought to you by the Math Cord Patreon. Specifically, I'd like to give a shout-out to Aher and Turpy and Circa, who support us at the Funder tier, as well as all other patrons at our $5 and $15 tiers who help make this podcast a thing. If you'd like to support us or have your name read out at the end of each Mathcast episode, feel free to support us at patreon.com/mathcord. Thank you all for watching. Have a great one.